All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. This is EdTech Mixed Plate, episode 34. Welcome, welcome. And tonight we're going to be doing some lesson sharing with Google Apps and Common Core. Before we get to the details and introductions, let me just remind our audience of a couple of things. First of all, check out our website, our EdTech Mixed Plate website. See right down here in the lower thirds, bit.ly/edtechmixplate. We archive all of our past episodes as well as our show notes. We have a calendar of future episodes, and we have, if you want to join the mailing list, fill out the form, and we'll send you reminders of upcoming episodes. Check that out, bit.ly/edtechmixplate. And I see many of you are already there, but our show notes, wait, where'd it go? Oh no, I lost my show notes. The link, while I'm pulling it up here, is located at bit.ly/mixedplate34. And if I can get it, come on. Why aren't you showing up? All right, well, I'll pull it up in a second. I don't know why I'm getting all these funny links here, but bit.ly/mixedplate34. That's our show notes for tonight. And our guests have graciously inserted their lesson resources for our audience to check out. Feel free to visit that link. It's a Google Doc, and it's open to the public, and commenting is available. So if our audience out there has any notes or comments or questions to share on the show notes, feel free to add them in via a comment or a suggestion. We appreciate that. Okay, so tonight is a Google Apps and Common Core integrated lesson sharing episode. So a couple weeks ago, we had our annual Hawaii Google Summit, and teachers in the state had the opportunity to register for a credit course through the Hawaii Department of Education, and they have a chance to earn 3 credits by first participating in a Google Summit, and then creating a Google Apps and Common Core integrated lesson or project, and then sharing it openly with the world via a Hangout on Air. So that's what our 3 guests are doing tonight. So before we get to those lessons, I'd like our guests to introduce themselves. I'll start off the introductions. I'm Mike Fricano. I'm a EdTech integration specialist for Iolani School. And how about Chad? You want to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are.
I am Chad Nacapuy. I'm a technology integration specialist for the Hawaii Department of Education.
Cool. All right, and Chris, tell us who you are.
My name is Chris Hope. I'm the student activities coordinator for Kea'au High School on the Big Island.
Cool. Welcome, Chris. Chris doesn't have a camera with us tonight, so he's just going to share his screen, but we can hear him perfectly fine. Thanks for joining us, Chris. And Shane, tell us who you are.
I'm Shane Asselstine. I am the Curriculum and Technology Coordinator for Momilani Elementary School.
All right. And these guys have a Google Apps and Common Core integrated lesson or project they want to share with us tonight. So we're going to start off with Chad. So Chad's going to share first.
Okay, so this is I'm going to share my screen real quick. One sec. Should have pulled that up earlier. So this is a lesson that I got from James Sanders at the Google Apps for Education Summit. And what James did was he used the zombie apocalypse and Google skills to create kind of a game to show off. So basically, this is it. What happens is the teachers come. So I don't work with students. My main job is to teach teachers technology integration. My lessons are geared towards that.
Yeah.
So, you set the scene, zombies are coming, and teachers need to do these things to survive the zombie apocalypse. So this lesson is geared to helping teachers create or showcase their skills in Google. It's kind of like a summative assessment. But what's interesting is teachers have taken this concept of utilizing Google Apps, and they're starting to integrate it into their regular classroom. So I was working with a group of teachers that were teaching 4th grade, and what they did was they did this kind of same idea, but they did it with the Ahupua'a and Hawaiian studies. So one of their things was like, instead of creating a Google Doc, they had to use My Maps in Google and outline the ahapua'a that they were assigned to. And then they had to come up with a Google spreadsheet that listed some of the things, I guess, that were in their ahapua'a, or all kinds of neat stuff. But again, they were using Google as a tool to showcase the Common Core and the learning that was happening inside of their classroom. So it was really neat. Some of the things that have come out of this kind of zombie apocalypse is the teachers have to then submit some of the things that they've done. And so let me go show you some of the things that they've done. It's just evidence of student work here. Sorry, I kind of went the long way to get to the evidence here. So this is one group here while it loads. Actually, Shane's group. Shane, where's your group? Which one was yours? JK.
You're muted.
Yeah, this wasn't the. We weren't in that section in Pearl Harbor.
Oh.
We did the one in.
You guys. This is DOA. Huh? This wasn't you guys.
Yeah, I think it might have been one of ours. We were like Team A team or something. Yeah.
Oh, this is. Oh, never mind. This is Solomon Elementary. So this is some of the things that they've done.
Don't show ours.
So like, for the zombie apocalypse, they had to create a Google form to figure out if the person was a zombie or not, and that's their Google form. They had to create a goodbye movie.
A goodbye movie.
And insert it. So the trick here is they got to insert the goodbye movie into their Google Drive, and a lot of teachers don't realize that using Google and Google Drive has made the collection of videos super easy now to do authentic assessment, so students can showcase their reading or some type of skill set. So this skill was to teach teachers how to get video really easily into Google Drive. They had to use Google Docs to create a zombie handbook. And this was funny because they found a zombie making website. So The Walking Dead turns a regular picture into a zombie picture. So that was kind of cool. One of their teachers there.
Dead yourself now.
Yeah. And then they had to, what they were going to bring to survive. So that's kind of what they had to do. So that's what I took from, one of the things I took from the Google Summit and implemented it into my lessons and what I do.
That's really cool. I actually sat in, I think both Shane and I sat in that session with James Sanders. I thought that was a really interesting and unique and fun and engaging way to get people to utilize their Google Apps skills and the test. Yes, it was really fun. Yeah, it
was great, and it not only that, it kind of lends itself to opening yourself up to those ideas of combine some of these apps together to create a project. Doesn't have to be zombies. Can be like the fourth graders did. Could be something that's more personal to the school, to the grade level. But just use that.
You mentioned something about ahapua'a. Did you mention that earlier? Why did you say that again?
So one of the groups that we worked with this past weekend, in fact, in doing this, they've taken that idea of the zombie apocalypse, more about the mission and the skill set that the students have to use, and they've applied that to their own classroom. So they're going to go back and tell the teachers, use My Maps in Google. And My Maps allows you to draw like shapes on a regular map, right? So they're going to layer it on top of Oahu and draw out the different ahapua'as that existed. And each group is going to have a section they're going to have to figure out. And one of the things about their map was they had to figure out the square footage of the square miles of the ahapua'a, and My Maps allows you to do that. Once you complete the polygon shape, it'll put the square miles of the area.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Yeah, it was just you mentioned ahapua'a. I thought it'd be rather than zombies, having create choose your ahapua'a and research it and determine what resources you have.
Yeah.
And create a project around how you would use resources within your ahapua'a. That's a really cool idea. That's a great way to app smash your Google app.
Yeah.
I added my link there, Chad, for our presentation in your show notes. In the show notes there, Shane's group.
Showing off Shane's work.
Although I don't know.
The most interesting thing about this too is I did not go to the zombie apocalypse thing at the Google Summit. I pulled this only from the notes that, and the links that he had given. And I talked to someone that had went to that particular session. I mean, and that's one of the coolest things, right, about having a digital thing like the Google Summit. I didn't have to, well, I couldn't go to all the presentations. So I was able to go back afterwards and learn this by myself. So I thought that was really neat too.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
That's it. Yep.
Thanks, Chad. I just want to remind, I didn't mention this earlier, but our audience out there, if you want to ask any questions or join the conversation by adding any of your comments, you can use the Q&A app, which you can access up here in the corner via the waffle icon, and you can ask your question or add a comment during our discussion. So feel free to do that if there's anybody out there watching live. All right, thanks, Chad. Appreciate you sharing that. All right, next up we have Chris. So Chris is going to share. Go for it, Chris.
All right. So I went to quite a few of them, and one of the ones that I took the most out of was the research one. And the lesson that I had created, because of the position that I'm in, I don't actually have specific content. So mine's more of a support position. So I utilized the research to support the English department in doing some research. Now, my students didn't really appreciate the fact that their fourth quarter project was a 10-page essay with a 5-minute presentation. So I'm not the nicest person on the campus right now. So with the lesson plan itself, if I can get it to come up, there we go. It's drawing off of Dr. Elizabeth Park and how she kind of split the researching process into 3 different phases. So phase 1 was kind of collecting all of the notes and the information. Phase 2, kind of going through the rough draft process. And phase 3, kind of taking everything, putting it into the essay, and then creating the actual essay and kind of doing the bibliography portion. So kind of went over the note phases and then kind of walking them through how to create folders, which was an eye-opening experience for a majority of the students because they had no clue what a folder was. And then having them share the folder. Our students only know that they can share documents. When I told them they could share a folder, I think half of them fell out of their chairs because they just had no clue you could do that. So teaching them how to share the folder, and then we actually went into Lucid Charts, which I found was a really good tool for a lot of the students to use pretty much in anything that they do. And I heard from our chemistry teacher that a lot of them actually are using it in chemistry as well to kind of map out the periodic table so they can get a little bit more of an understanding. Going into phase 2, it was more the rough draft phase and kind of teaching them that when we do create these Google Docs, that when you create the title, it's the title of what it is that you're going to be doing. So they created the title of notes for phase 1, and all they can do is put notes on that page. They cannot do anything else. They can't start their paper. They can't put paragraphs. It's just about collecting notes. Then in phase 2, they created another Google Doc that was titled Rough Draft, and that was where they actually were able to start their rough draft. And then in phase 3, it's actually the final. So in that one, they can actually start integrating their rough draft and their notes into their final. And then actually this coming Thursday, I'll be walking them through the process of using Easybib as a collector of all of their citations. So one thing I found is my students have no clue how to cite. They think that just putting the link of where it came from was all about citation. You just put the link and you're done. So that's pretty much my lesson as a whole. Yeah, that's all I got.
Sorry. So what I see within the show notes on your website, you have these presentations. Yeah, like this Researching 101 presentation and the I guess the different phases that you've broken them down to.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit about what you use those for, or what the purpose of them?
Yeah, so I use those to kind of map out everything. And one of the other things that I have now become addicted to is Snagit. I literally cannot get enough of that at all. So I walk them through everything, and the kids are all now asking me, how do we get that? So now it's walking them through, okay, let's put Snagit as an app on your account so you guys can start creating presentations that way as well. So it was more of a tool to kind of walk them through step by step, because it's our first year actually using Google Anything. And I actually share all of my presentations with the students. So if they are somewhere else and I'm not there with them, they can go back into the presentation and see, okay, step one was this. I need to do that, and they can kind of click through the slides.
Yeah, as I'm looking through your slides here, you did a really good job of making it really easy to follow step by step with the arrows and everything. So it's super useful for the students.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Chris. I took a copy. I'm gonna try to bring it down, of course, to a elementary school level, yeah, because our kids probably might be a little bit too much. But yeah, as a good foundation.
Yeah, in my opinion, the research tool it's got to be one of the most powerful tools in the Google Drive arsenal. It's got so many great features. Are you familiar with the Easybib add-on, Chris?
I have it. I just haven't delved into actually using it.
Yeah, because the Easybib add-on for Google Docs allows you to quickly and easily gather your citations in the side panel of your doc, and then it'll create a works cited page and insert it straight into your document when you're done.
Oh, okay. I think that's when you're using the research tool. When you hover the mouse over said web page that you wanted to use, it gives the opportunity to cite. Is that the add-on, or is that?
Yeah, well, the cite tool, the cite feature in the research tool creates a footnote citation, but in the same add-ons menu, actually, let me show you guys. Because I see you use the Easybib website, which is super powerful. I think that's got a lot of huge benefits to it. But there's also an Easybib add-on. So here in the show notes, if you go to, this is just a Google Doc, but it's an add-on called Easybib Bibliography Creator, and it allows you to gather your citations in this side panel here. And then once you've collected them in the side panel, there's a button that allows you to insert your bibliography into the document, and it'll create a works cited page of all your citations for you. Not as footnotes like the research tool does, but it'll actually insert the citations into a works cited section.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So you can, I mean, it's this is the Easybib add-on just allows you to add books, journal articles, and websites. But I think when you use the Easybib website, it has a lot more options, which can be extremely useful for students as well. But this is
sorry. When I was going over the presentation, our librarian was just in awe, just staring at me, going, I never knew we could do this.
Yeah.
This cool thing.
You are now the new magician.
I mean, it's I tell people it's like with all these tools like Easybib add-on and Easybib website and the citation tool in the research tool, it's not really necessary to know how to create a citation anymore. As long as you're creating a citation and you know what its purpose is and why it's important to have it, I think that's more important than knowing how to create it. Because we have these tools that do it already, so why not take advantage of it? It's awesome. All right, cool. Thanks for sharing that, Chris. Appreciate it. I just wanted to give a shout out to a couple of our viewers. You got Greg McCall watching. He just wanted to chime in and say that he's listening. Thanks for joining us live.
What's up, Greg? He's in my Google Saturday class group.
Oh, cool. And then we also have Peter with us. He's also watching. And he also says that the NSA may be watching, so we got to okay? Thanks for joining us, Peter. Appreciate it. All right, we got one more share coming from Shane. Go for it, Shane.
All right. Yeah, so I went to the Google Summit, of course, and just like Chad, there were so many great things to see. I presented one session too, so I guess there's a whole section I didn't get to see. But two of the things I've been using, I guess a lot like Christopher, this is our first year doing Google at our school at any big scale. So you can imagine a lot of our beginning of the year was just teaching kids to, here's your accounts and here's how to get in and all this kind of stuff. So throughout all the pressure of, try to get them to work on it, one of the tools that we didn't use has been Google Drawings. And Jenny did a great session at the very end of the second day on utilizing that. So the project I'm actually doing with that I use Google Draw with, the project itself was already in conception and in the works, but I actually started to integrate Draw as part of the drafting portion of this section. So I'll do a screen share here with you and explain what kind of things I'm looking at here. So screen share to my here. All right, so what we've got here is oops, I guess I should go to the very first one. This is a template I had created and then distributed through Google Classroom. And what I wanted the students to use, of course, my project's Minecraft. Do I need to mention that, or was that kind of given already? So the project itself, let me go over what the project is before we get to what this is. But the project itself encompasses the 6th grade students understanding the concept of a system, putting a system in place. And that system, in this case, happens to be a system of industry where we're going from raw materials to a final product to actually retail and selling that final product for a price. So what they had to do was go into the Minecraft wiki and find a product that had 3 raw materials at least, and they had to craft multiple parts to this thing and to create the one product. So we used Google Draw and this template here as a product crafting plan. So each of them did an individual crafting plan, and then they met as a team to decide which crafting plan they wanted to use as their final product they were going to sell. So now, once they get that in place, they're going to go into Minecraft and actually create this entire industry. They're going to create the supply, meaning a farm, it could be a mine, it could be some kind of way to get the raw materials, create a factory that's going to process those materials, and then, of course, manufacture a final product, then create an actual store and sell the product. So creating all of that within the Minecraft world, but all the while we use Google Docs, we use Google Classroom, we use Google everything pretty much now in our classroom. I don't have any paper anymore, so I know that makes Mike smile. Okay, so this was our template, gave it out to all the students. If you haven't used Google Classroom to distribute documents, you should. I mean, if you're just beginning, it's a great app to use. It takes away some of the pain of dealing with Google Drive and individual. I have 240 students, and imagine trying to give out 240 assignments to them one at a time and copying and pasting. No, that's not going to happen. So this was my model. So I was modeling for my students. I had them just yell out something they know they could make, and of course the first thing they thought of was a stone sword. So we made a stone sword, and I laid out kind of the yellow symbol being what we're going to use for raw materials, which in this case was wood and stone. We had to put the wood into a crafting table, the 2 primary tools we would be using, into a crafting table to get wood planks, put those 2, cobblestone and stone, into a crafting table to get a stone sword. So the entire process here. Tools that they would need to use down here. And Mike I know what he's probably thinking right now is, can you zoom in, or is that okay? You're muted, so I can't hear you. So.
You're good.
Okay, good. All right, so this was how we used Google Draw in this case as our planning stage. So they had to show me this before they could actually get to their final, to start building. Here's 3 examples of the kids who utilized this. As you can see, this is one of my students. This is one of the girls, and she decided to make a book and quill, which we've used in the past to record assessments within Minecraft, but they actually have a journal within game, so a learning journal essentially is what it was. She's showing how she needs a cow farm to create leather to put in the craft area. She needs a sugarcane farm to create paper. She needs chickens to get feathers, and then she needs a squid farm to get ink, and all of this is going to come together to create this book and quill. Wow. So you can imagine what her farming system, manufacturing system, and final retail system is going to look like if you just kind of look at this picture. Then I have, here's one of our students. Let's look at this one first. here's a student he's gonna make cakes, and everyone thinks, well, it's just cake. It should be super easy to make. But these are all the components that go into making a cake in Minecraft. So it's not just about the blocks, but I love playing around with the game mechanics and the game, with game-based learning and everything. So for them to be able to communicate this idea clearly to their team, understanding the flow and the process of how everything works, it was huge. I mean, seeing them do this, because if I had actually had them write this down on paper and a doc and say, okay, tell me all the steps, it wouldn't have nearly been as effective for the kids or as much fun and engaging. But they loved playing with these symbols. They came up with some of the color scheme for me and helped me out. And it was great. So this one here, of course, comes into these final 4 processed materials. That was another discussion. We had a discussion between what was a raw material versus what's a processed material. And then when you had to utilize something, then this livestock was added afterwards because they said, well, we need to have these cow farms and the chicken farms to be able to get these materials. So that was a great process thought. Here's a student who, it appears that he really understood the concept, but when I looked more deeply, he actually it could just be a process thing or a step mistake, but he's telling me that he has to get raw material wood logs and then use a wooden axe to get planks, but that's actually not true in the process of creating. He needs a wood axe to get the wood log, but then needs to use a crafting table here. So I'm going to have to discuss with him how his process was. It's not quite going to work the way he thought it was.
Well,
so I'm sorry, Mike?
Create the wooden axe first? Like, is that something?
Yeah, he would need to make the wooden axe. And actually, if I do this real quick, I'll show you this one student. And I didn't show his because I thought, wow, I don't want people thinking they're all doing this level of stuff. But he went just straight up crazy on what he did. I mean, yeah, he broke down every single thing that he was going to need. Let's see here. Excuse my long-winded going through here. He was in 205. Here.
You're taking something that's already engaging and interesting to them, and asking them to think through the actual process that's involved in everything that's required.
Right.
Breaking it down into its various steps.
Okay, so now let me stop sharing this one and I'll share this other screen with you. But okay. So here is this student. This is what he was making. Oh, but then he decided to tell you how to make every single tool he was going to need to make that. But each of these themselves could have been its own industry, basically, his own set of industry. So I was just like, wow. That was definitely above and beyond. So. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it was the best way to use draw, but honestly, I thought that the assignment went super well with the reflections. The kids were talking to me about how they loved it. It was a great way to talk about process and basically informational text, just explaining that without having the pain of first I have to do, then I have to do, then they were able to just boom, here's the communication, here's what I'm going to do. So
yeah. So what would be some next steps? Like what could they do with those drawings?
Well, so the next steps, we've taken this, let me go back to one of these that I'm sharing here. Okay, so this one, for instance, here. So now when we actually go into Minecraft, they're going to have to find themselves a plot of land. There's a team of 4 now. So let's say they decide that this is the one they want to go with. They're going to have to find some way to mine ore on a consistent, sustainable basis. They're going to need to find a way to get seeds on a consistent, sustainable basis. So they have to find a way to get these 3 yellow ones on consistently. Then they're going to have to build an actual factory that processes those materials into these blue ones, and then finally a store that's going to sell the cakes. And they have to price the cake based on how much work, and we'll talk about what goes into costing of an actual item, right? I mean, you have the raw materials, you have the processing time, you have the the workers, you have all this other stuff. So these huge discussions come from doing this stuff in Minecraft, doing this stuff in the game-based world and all that, but the discussions and reflections we have with the kids is really where that comes together, where it kind of brings it all together for them, and they understand that, well, where do I get milk from? The store. No, there's a huge industry that goes behind you getting milk from the store, or even just apples from the store, and showing them those life skill kind of things is kind of, I get excited about that kind of stuff because you see these bright lights go on all the time. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could take this concept and apply it to study of medieval times. Like, what do they what kind of jobs require, what kind of resources, where they get it, or even like ancient Hawaiian studies. You know, you could talk about all the different responsibilities and jobs and resources they had within their awa, and talk about, like, you could break down the steps of what they had to go through to produce all the resources and tools. And
definitely,
Peter's in the Q&A, and he's asking, you know, how does Google Draw compare to Lucidchart? Have you ever used Lucidchart before, Shane?
I use Lucidchart, the free version, if I'm not mistaken. There is a paid version which has more features and such, but I usually use the free version, and it's a little more. I guess it looks a little more technical to me for my kids.
Much more of a professional.
Yeah. Like I would use it for the IT side of my job, the tech side, to lay out, you know, my switches, my routers, where everything's going, and ports and computers and all that kind of stuff. But I think having the kids use it, I think that definitely the Draw is the way to go. Plus, like I said, Draw is one of those tools that people just don't really know what to do with. And after seeing Jenny's session, I was like, my God, I got 10 different ideas right now that I could use it for. So.
Yeah, drawing's much more simplified, I think, especially for the younger students.
Yep.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more intuitive, a lot easier to use, I think. Lucidchart's very much a professional on the professional side of charting and diagramming. And he's also asking, does Lucidchart add templates? I think it has templates, yeah, but you can start from scratch and pull in your own shapes, arrows, and lines and things like that. So.
And if you've used that kind of Lucidchart thing too, those symbols all have like specific purposes. And I would need to teach them all those purposes, whereas, you know, for this purpose, it was just a matter of understanding that this shape does this, this shape does this. I don't need to know the formal, you know, behind the scenes stuff of that. So. Yeah. Oh, it is free for schools, like the full version, or just the app?
And Lucid Press, you can register your school account and get access to the features.
Oh. Great.
Yeah. So Lucid, for everybody else out there, Lucid Chart and Lucid Press. Lucid Press is like a publishing app. It's like what Microsoft Publisher used to be. You know, you can create newsletters and posters and things like that. They're both a third-party app that you can attach to your drive to publish documents, and Lucid Chart allows you to create diagrams and process charts and things like that. And they're very much on the professional side, but they have like built-in collaboration. Those files are all stored in your drive for easy access. You can share it with people. You can collaborate on it in real time. So
I didn't realize this, but until after Jenny's session too. But drawing can actually be, you can collaborate on drawing too now.
Yeah, you can work on it in real time with multiple people.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions from Chad and Chris for Shane? Is there anything to add? No?
That's really cool. I'm still kind of lost on Minecraft.
I think, you know, Minecraft in Shane's case, it's just the way to engage the students in learning this type of thinking and processing skills. And so, you know, you could use that to get them interested and to learn the skill and then apply it to some other subject or lesson. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the whole idea of the game-based learning, because I don't just use Minecraft. I use Kerbal DU. Anybody who's ever played The Incredible Machine back in the day, there's a new version for education called Contraption Maker, which is free for educators, by the way. I've used that to make up, you know, Rube Goldberg type machines and things like that.
They just came out, right? I think.
Yeah.
They're now live. And
they're live, and there's a teacher dashboard now, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really cool STEM app to really get into.
I think I sent an email to Chris Schwengo. He's going to start using it next year, I think. So.
Yeah. All right. Oh, that is all we have for our sharing. We appreciate Chad, Chris, and Shane coming on and sharing their Google Apps integration ideas with our audience. Thanks for coming on tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. And I guess you are now get the check, right? You're now officially done. Credit requirements beyond your portfolio. So kudos to you guys. Congrats.
Yeah.
And, I guess that's it for tonight. So I can't get the link up there, but for our audience out there, if you check you go to bit.ly/nixedplate34, you can access Chad, Chris, and Shane's Google Apps integration lesson ideas and everything that they talked about tonight, including their student samples if they offered to share them. So feel free to check that out. And we'll see everyone again on the next episode of EdTech Mixed Plate. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Mike.
Good night.
Yep.